All right, welcome out to the International Scuba Dive Tribe's Dive into Summer. This is where we celebrate our community. One of the things I'm really excited about our community is that we work with our local dive team. And the Grand Prairie Fire Department really sets the standard for dive teams. This is Kevin Baker. Thanks for coming out today.
Yes, sir. Glad to have us. Thank you.
You know, it's pretty interesting. This dive team has, a lot of times dive teams are all about recovery, but at Joe Pool Lake, they had a history of some drowning deaths. You said that was one of the most dangerous lakes, right?
That's correct. Used to, way before COVID, our lake was rated as one of the deadliest lakes in Texas due to the drownings. Since that time, we've been able to establish a dive program or a public safety program on the lake itself, along with PD and fire, and we actually staff the lake every weekend. We've managed to bring that rate of deaths down and make it actually one of the safest lakes in Texas, even as busy as our lake is and as small as our lake is.
Do you think it's awareness of safety or just projecting a presence that makes the biggest difference?
I think it's both. I mean, primarily with our dive team out there, like I said, we're joint, both PD and fire. We're able to show that and stop people, talk to them, and show them the proper ways of wearing a life vest, why you need a life vest, and also any unsafe acts that are happening, we're able to stop those whenever we see them.
Okay, so one of the things you'll notice about these guys is they have the best toys ever. And what's really impressive about Grand Prairie, and I'd kind of like to know who to give credit to, but you guys have some of the best training. You train, you have the best equipment, and you're really state of the art. So who do you give credit to for that?
That has to start at the top with our fire chief and then all the way down. Our chief is big on training, and with our specialty teams, we have several specialty teams in the city, and we try to maximize our training. And we have total buy-in from the city council, city managers, the mayor's office on what we do, and so we wouldn't be able to do that without their support. But we have a very good, robust training facility, our training department within the department, and we're able to do that through the department.
Yeah, I just got to really give you kudos. We've worked with a lot of teams, and you really set the standard. Thank you for bringing this out. Our divers are very excited to see it. Let's kind of show the folks that weren't able to be here some of the gear you work with.
All right. Some of the stuff we have underwater metal detectors, obviously for different equipment that we need to try to find underwater, be it guns, knives, whatever we need. And then in this box is recovery for vehicle recovery. So we have a lot of times vehicles go in the water either accidentally or on purpose. We're able to pull those vehicles out of the water using this system, and it connects to a wrecker, a full-size wrecker, one of the big heavies. We'll be able to pull that equipment out of there. Then we have underwater communication systems. We have a rope comm system here, and then which is a wired system, and then we have a wireless system depending on what systems that we're needing to use, if we're penetrating into something or where we're at, what we have to do. And then we always have a safety in mind. We have a RIC, which in the fire service is a rapid intervention team. And we have a tank system set up, which is a complete redundant system for the safety of our divers. We also can use this other box over here, has a float in it. What it has a jack stain, which is an ability to set up and swim patterns underwater. Keep in mind, we typically dive in a zero visibility, which is nothing past your nose. A good day of visibility in the water that we dive in is literally about 2 feet off your face. So everything's done by feel. That's why we have to have the systems that we have over here. Our primary dive system, we have a heads-up display, which shows us our compass readings, our tank pressures, and everything that we need to know as a diver to be safe in the water. We run a complete redundant system. On the back of there is a complete pony bottle system with its own regulator first stage complete system.
Okay, so let's let people know, what does it look like training? How often do you train?
So we train every tour. There's something that we do every tour, so we work 2 days on, 4 days off. So every team that comes on, and our team is split up throughout all 3 shifts. So one of the 2 days that you're on duty, there is a training schedule set up that you're going to do some sort of dive training. It might not always be in the water. Some of it's done on the surface, some of it's done with gear, some of it's done with snatch blocks. We also have sonars. We have 2 different large boats and 2 small boats. So there's a lot of training that we have to keep up with. So we literally train 10 shifts a month.
So this is from Station 7. It's by Joe Pool Lake, and I like to call it the dive station, because if divers stop by, you'll see that they have the most incredible dive boat that's ever been made. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So our dive boat is a Munson dive boat. It has a front ramp on it that lowers down to be able to allow us to bring our ROV onto the boat and off the boat. Also any recoveries that we need to. We have a 1,500-pound davit off the front of it. It has a 1,250 gallon per minute fire pump system for firefighting on it. And then it has a Marine Sonic towable fish system under it. And then we also run the Garmin GPS system on it.
Okay. Now, we've got the police dive team out there too, and they got a pretty fancy boat. But you guys have that water cannon. Have y'all ever just hosed them down at some point?
We've thought about it several times.
Every time I see that, I'm just thinking this would be the ultimate toy to have, to just, hose everybody. Now, you mentioned the ROV, so can you tell us a little bit about that? Because not every team has that. That's a pretty unique piece of gear.
So the ROV is a new purchase this year, just came into our inventory. It's actually on the PD side of the house. They were able to go out and get that and do all the training on it. And it's actually, we've already used it one time this year to help us in a recovery.
So when you're looking for something with the ROV or with your side scan, how small of an item can you identify?
So depending on the depths, we have some of our side scans that are from the surface down and some that are actually a towfish system. The smallest items that we typically can identify on there, the size of a car tire comes up extremely well on the system, all the way down to, or from there to boats, all that kind of stuff. So it just really depends on the depth that we're dealing with.
So what's the typical speed you're going as you're towing it?
So if we're towing the towfish, we do no more than 3 miles an hour because of the imagery that we have to do.
But that still allows you to cover ground pretty quickly.
Sure, yeah. Keep in mind, we're not just covering the ground underneath us, we're covering 120 feet outcast to each side. So whenever we make one pass, we're covering 240 feet of ground below us while we're going across. Right. So we are covering a wide swath, and it looks like we're not covering much ground to start with, but then we always overlay those two patterns, port side to starboard side, every time that we make a pattern, so we make sure we're not missing anything in between.
Now, how many years have you been on the dive team?
I've been on the dive team for 18 years now.
18 years. What do you think is your most rewarding aspect of the job?
To me, the most rewarding aspect of the job is bringing the new guys up and teaching them so that they can replace me whenever I retire.
Yeah. Well, I think that you do a really great job with that, because you can see the level of training is impeccable, and I really appreciate what you do. Thank you for everything you do for our community.
Thank you for everything you do for us.
All right, so we're going to take a tour of the command vehicle. Well,
so this bus allows us to do a lot of different things. The main thing that it does for us is, of course, gives our equipment to the scene. This is one of our shore operation vehicles, so if we have an operation coming from the shore, we use this one to stage from. Our divers can get dressed in here. It's also a place during the winter time for our divers to come and warm up, or in the summertime cool off. We have the shade abilities off the side of it, air conditioners and heaters inside here. It also provides us some privacy due to the way that the windows are made for the divers to be able to change into different warm or dry clothes, whichever they need. We carry a full array of equipment in here, all the way from the abilities to be able to work on equipment. We have some of our tools in here that we can work on some of our equipment if we need to for whatever reasons. We carry 4 full setups here, which, as you can see, there's a complete system to include the nerds, which is our heads-up display, and our pony bottle system, which is our redundant system, is on each one of these setups. We have our lift bags here, so if we need to lift items, these lift bags are rated. So the lift bags are rated, we have 3,000 and 5,000 pound lift bag ratings on these. We have multiple lift bag systems. We have a buoy system that if we have a spill of, say, fuel on the surface, like if a boat is leaking fuel, we can go out and we can house that or hold that into an area so it can be cleaned up later. So it's a complete containment system. As far as the command staff on it, you can, as you see, we have the heads up, what are these things called? Headphones. Our headphones here, radio system connects here. That way command can be in here, out of the
elements.
It's more of it gets very chaotic. And so if command is trying to be inside of that chaotic area on the shore, it's very hard for them to stay in control of what's going on. So they can move into here and actually stay in command and be able to have their boards and everything up here to know where our divers are at, how long the divers have been down, air quality, all that stuff, because we're talking through the dive team leaders that are on the boats. And then we have extra tanks, dry bags, and then just a whole lot of different equipment in there. So here we have our extra tanks up here for prolonged dives. And then our dry suits are here. We also have an environmental dry suit, which is like a hazardous materials that if we're in a environment that is not good for your skin, then we can wear those. They are actually rated. They have a hazmat rating for permeability, which is all run through our hazmat team. And then on the bottom shelf on here is more of our jack stays and fan patterns to be able to run patterns and that kind of stuff.
Now, one of the reasons that you need a mobile command center like this is your team is uniquely trained and equipped to respond to the whole region, right? You're not just in Grand Prairie. You go and cover things all over. That's
correct. We are a mobile response team or a task force asset. So we can be used anywhere in North Texas. So it's not uncommon for us to get a call from a different department or sheriff's departments, or even the Texas Parks and Wildlife. So like last year, 2 years ago, we were called out to Bridgeport. And so all the way from Grand Prairie to Bridgeport to help them because they needed our assets with our sonar system. And so like what happened on that scenario is we were flying our sonar system, which flies about 10 feet off the bottom of the lake. Gives us the best views down there. Well, we had never been on that lake before. So we didn't realize that there was a sudden shift in the bottom of the lake. So we flew our sonar system right into the mud at 60 feet deep. So we were anchored. Our boat was essentially anchored due to our sonar system that's connected to our boat. So we have these winds that are pushing us, 3-foot wide caps. We think we're about to sink our boat out there in the middle of the lake. So we send a diver down the line to go see why our sonars is tied up. He gets down the bottom, he calls back up and he says, "Cap, I can't find our sonar. The line disappears in the mud." So me being the professional diver that I am, I got in the water and swam down there because there's no way that this thing is lost in the mud. Turns out that I had to dig down as deep as I could reach to actually find our sonar system down in the mud. And both of us about 15 minutes digging with our hands to get this sonar fish dug out of the mud. But we did recover it.
It still worked and everything.
Still worked, just a little muddy.
Well, you learn from experiences like that, right?
Exactly. Love it.
All right, Kevin. Well, I appreciate the tour. We all learned a lot. Is there anything you'd like to share with the dive tribe?
Yeah, definitely. Y'all, anyone that wants to come out to Joe Pool Lake, y'all come on out there. We're going to be there every weekend. We got your back. We're there to cover you. We're also there to, if you get a little hot, we might could spray you with that water cannon we were talking about.
Perfect. Well, we'll be seeing you out there soon at the Party Cove.
All right, thank you.